הבאים לטקס האזכרה בהילולה של מלך מייקל לוין בן הינדליה ומאיר הכהן, מרק והריאט, 17 שנה. יודעים או שלא יודעים, מייקל נפטר בזין אב, ועד שהגיע משפחתו מארצות הברית, הוא נקבר בתשעה באב. ואבא שלו מספר שמאוד פחד שלא יהיה פה מניין. שצריכים ככה להתקשר פה ושם, שיאספו מניין, כי זה היה אחר הצהריים בתשעה באב. ומי יגיע בעת כזאת, כל הדרך להר הרצל בשמש וכזה. והוא מספר, כשהגיע לפה, היו פה אלפים. היו פה אלפים, ואז חשב לעצמו בתמימות, היה תקופה מאוד קשה, הוא אמר, בטח יש כמה לוויות היום. אז רוב האנשים פה הם ללוויה הזאת, ואנחנו נסתדר. וכמו שכולם יודעים, הוא גילה תוך זמן קצר שכולם הגיעו לכבד את מייק בדרכו האחרונה. עכשיו זה 17 שנה, ואנחנו עדיין, כמו כל שנה, כמו בכל תשעה באב, אומרים, נחמו, נחמו עמי, שנזכה לנחמה האמיתית והנצחית. נחמו, נחמו, יאמר אלוהיכם. נחמו, נחמו, יאמר אלוהיכם. נחמו, נחמו, יאמר אלוהיכם. נחמו, נחמו, יאמר אלוהיכם. דברו על לב ירושלים וקראו אליו. 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 נאי 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 אז ברשות הקהל אני אגיד כמה מילים באנגלית לכבוד ההורים של מייקל. Just going to say a few words in English so that Michael and Harriet can follow along. So I said this is 17 years. It's hard for all of us. It's just impossible to wrap our heads around it. 17 years. Anyone who knows a little bit Gematria, Shvasa is a Tov. Okay, 17 is the numerical value of Tov. So I was sitting and thinking about what's Tov about all this. What is the good in all of this? So it's always in the context of this time of the year, of the 9 days of Tisha B'Av. So there's a story. I mean, it's a famous story. It's so sort of completely ridiculous that it could very well be true. And it's the story of Napoleon, who's walking around Paris late at night. And he's walking with his generals, whoever he walks around with. And suddenly he hears from this building, he hears screaming and crying and, this whole commotion. He sort of let's go see what's going on. Is everything okay? And he goes over there and he looks in, and it's a Beit Knesset. He looks in, he sees all the people are sitting on the floor. They're all sitting on the floor, and the lights are out, and they have candles. Lights. I don't think there were lights. So they're all sitting with candles on the floor, and they're crying. And Napoleon innocently says, "What happened? Did the leader of the community die? Was there a tragedy? Maybe something happened to one of the children. Right? He's that." And slowly they tell, he speaks to one of the people there, and he tells them, "No, we're mourning our temple. We're mourning the Beit HaMikdash." Same morning, the Beit HaMikdash. Well, when did that happen? Was that last year? Was that 5 years? I said, "Oh no, this was 1,800 years ago. Our temple was destroyed." And Napoleon couldn't believe it. He sort of blown away by all of that. And the famous line that came out of that is, of course, that any nation that could cry with such depth and such overwhelming connection to something that happened 1,800 years ago, to something they lost, they will definitely be blessed to find it and to rebuild it. So I was thinking that in terms of Mike, because I always, when Mike died, it could have, when somebody dies, when any tragedy happens, it's a huge deal, and very quickly it cannot be a big deal. Very quickly, except for maybe the closest family members, everyone else goes on their way. And I always worry about that, and always think about that, and always, you want to be the one to make sure that never happens. So I just want to share just one last idea with you, is that in the month of Av, each month has a tikkun. In Kabbalah, each month has a fixing. The fixing of the month of Av is Shmi'ah, is hearing. That the big problem is not so much what we saw, it's how we listen to it. On Tisha B'Av, we also remember the Chet of the Meraglim, the spies. The spies came and gave a bad report. And the problem was not really so much that they gave the bad report, but it's that we listened to it. And that we decided that what they're saying must be true. And then we reacted accordingly to that. So that's where the problem lay. I really think that the tikkun, the fixing of the Chet HaMeraglim, the fixing of the Beit HaMikdash, Sinat Chinam, destroy the Beit HaMikdash. We're in a tough time now here in Am Yisrael. We need Avat Chinam. We need to come together. The great strength of Mike and the great strength is of his friends and his chevra is that I think everybody decided on the day that Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad means not just that I say that God is one, I internalize it. The beauty of hearing is that it comes in and it goes in and it goes inside of you. And everybody there decided we're going to internalize this. We're not going to let this go. But what are we going to do? Yitapech hakol letova. That whatever good we can get out of this, and nothing can bring Mike back. We miss him dearly every day, no more so than his family. But the good that can be is that we'll make sure that Mike's memory lives. And that's the toll, that every year we come to this, look how many people are here. Look at the lone soldiers in his memory. Every single time I come here, there's group after group after group, and every kind of group, every kind of religious group, every kind of left, right, small, lo mishan. Mike is a point of achdut in this arm. Mike is a point of unity. Because Mike had a simple message that Eretz Yisrael, Medinat Yisrael, this is our place. And that we need to, and if we don't defend it, we can't be here. And so I think about that today, 17 years later. And despite all the hardship, and despite all the sorrow, we, again, miss Mike every day so dearly, so much tov has come, so much goodness because we decided that we weren't going to let this go. You can internalize the words of the Meraglim that we have no ability to be here, or you can walk around all the tzaddikim of Har Herzl in this place and go to each tzaddik here and understand that absolutely in their merit we will do it. We will be here and we will be strengthened together as an Am. So we remember Mike in that great holy light.
פרק ט"ז מתהילים. סתם לדוד שומרני אל כי חסיתי בך. אמר לך אדוני, אדוני אתה טובתי בלעדיך, לקדושים אשר בארצמה ואדירי כל חפציבם. ירבו עצבותם אחר מהר, ובלסך נזקי מדם, ובלשא את שמותם על שפתי. אדוני מנת חלקי וחופשי, אתה תמיר גורלי, חבלים נפלו לי בנעימים, אף נחלת שפרה עליי. אברך את אדוני אשר יעצני, אף ללא תיסרוני חיליותי. שיביתי אדוני לנגדי תמיד, כי ממני בא למות. לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי, אף בשרי ישכון לבטח, כי לא תעזור נפשי לישון, לא תיתן חסיתך לראות שחת, תגייני אור החיים בסוף השמחות את פניך נעימות בימינך נצח. אותיות מלך מפרק ק"ט בתהילים. מ' מה אהבתי תורתך כל היום משיחתי, מאויבי תחכמני מצוותיך כי לעולם עלי. כל מלמדי השכלתי כי אדבותיך סיכה לי מסכנים מתבונן, כי פיקודך נצרתי, כל אורח קליתי רגלה למען אשמות דבריך. משפטיך לא סרתי כי אתה הורתני, מה נמלצו לי ריקים רתיך מדבש לפי. מפיקודיך אתבונן, על כן שנאתי כל אורח שקר. למד. לעולם אדוני דבריך ניצב בשמיים, לדור ודור אמונתך כוננת ארץ ותעמוד. למשפטיך עמדו היום כי הכל עבדיך, לולי תורתך שעשוע היה זבתי בעוני. לעולם לא אשכח פיקודיך כי בם חייתני. לך אני הושיעני כי פיקודיך דרשתי, לי קיבור השם לעבדני, אלוהיך אתבונן. לכל פתלה ראיתי קץ, רחבה מצוותיך מאוד. כ' קלטה לתשועתך נפשי לדברך ייחלתי, כלו עיני למרתך לאמור מתי תנחמני. כי הייתי כנו בכיתור חוקיך לא שכחתי, כמה ימי עבדיך מתי תעשה ברודפם משפט. קראו לי זדים שיחות אשר לא תורתך, כל מצוותיך אמונה שקר ידרפוני עוזרני. עמד קילוני בארץ ואני לא עזבתי פסיקודיך. לחסדך חייני ואשמרה עדות פיך. אותיות נשמה, נון. נר לרגלי דבריך ואור לנתיבתי, נשבעתי בה אקיימה לשמור משפטי צדקך, נעניתי עד מאוד אדוני חייני כדבריך, נלוות בי רצנה אדוני משפטיך למדני. נפשי וכפי תמיד בתורתך לא שכחתי, נתנו רשעים פח לי ומפיקודיך לא טעיתי. נחלתי את דבותיך לעולם כי ששון ליבי המה, נטיתי ליבי לעשות חוקיך לעולם עקב. שין שרים רדפוני חינם מדבריך פחד ליבי, שש נופע למרתך כמוצא שלל רב. שקר שנאתי ואתעב ותורתך אהבתי, שבע ביום ילדתיך משפטי צדקך, שלום רב לבית תורתך ואין אמור מכשול. סיברתי לשעתך אדוני מצוותיך עשיתי. שמרה נפשי אלוהיך ואוהב מאוד, שמרתי פיקודיך ואלוהיך ככל דרכי נגדך. מ' מה אהבתי תורתך כל היום משיחתי, באויבי תחכמני מצוותיך כי לעולם עלי. מכל מלמדי השכלתי כי אדבותיך שיחך לי מסכנים מתבונן כי פיקודיך נצרתי, מכל אורחך קליתי רגלה למען אשמות דבריך. משפטיך לא סרתי כי אתה הורתני, מה נמלצו לתיקים ברתך מדבש לפי, מפיקודיך אתבונן, כן שנאתי כל אורח שקר. הורני אדוני דרך חוקיך ואצרנה עקב, אבינני ואצר תורתך ושפטיך כל אוהב, ותורידני בנתיב משפטיך כי לא חפצתי. אל תביא אל אדבותיך ואל אלבצה. העבר עיני מרעהו שם דרכיך חייני, הקים לעבדך אמרתך אשר ליראתך ערך שמחתי, אשר יגור תיקים משפטיך טובים. הנה תאהבתי לפיקודיך בצדקתך חייני. אמירת קדיש, יש למה.
גדל והתקדש, מי רבה, חי יכולנו ביום יכולנו וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. נעלם כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ולמה אמרו אמן. שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל במרו אמן. עשה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל
We're back.
Okay.
There's a lot more than 20.
Yes, doing.
I will speak in English for the parents. I didn't have the privilege, I didn't have the zchut to know Michael. But I know definitely that I know Michael extremely well because I met his parents. I met Harriet and Mark in Pennsylvania when I was in a diplomatic mission there. I remember so well our first meeting in a synagogue in Philadelphia.
Downtown.
I was supposed to be a tough diplomat, but I couldn't resist and cry and weep on Harriet's shoulder, and vice versa, I believe. That was one of those moments that encapsulate how different the mission of a Jewish diplomat, the mission of an Israeli diplomat, the mission of a Zionist diplomat is. And then when I visited you, Harriet and Mark at home, and you took me to Michael's room, and you showed me all his belongings as a child, as a high school student, as a soldier. Again, I couldn't resist but to break in tears. As I said, I never met Michael, but I know Michael perfectly well. The best way to know a person is first and foremost to know his parents, to know the education they gave him. And you did an amazing job in that, Harriet and Mark. And yes, you paid the ultimate price. You lost your dear son, Michael. But the contribution that you made to the Jewish people, to the state of Israel, is not military. It's not only military. You educated us. Through the way that you commemorate Michael's memory, you educate us, you make us be better persons. You make us understand what Zionism is, what love is to those that need it, that those that are lone soldiers and other categories. Your contribution to the Israeli society goes far beyond the military aspect of it. For me, knowing you, Harriet and Mark, and through you knowing Michael, is one of the most important experiences I earned during my 4 years in the United States. And for that, I personally will be forever indebted to you, Harriet and Mark, and of course, to Michael. It's not a coincidence that Michael became just such an icon of being an Israeli, being a Jew, of being a Zionist. Your education is what caused that. And today, as a private citizen, without any office there in America, I thank God every day that people like Michael teach us and teach American Jews how to be a better Jew. Yeh zichro baruch.
16 years ago, on Mikey's first yard site, I came here with a bottle of alcohol, and I decided to remember Mikey in a way that he would have wanted to be remembered. He would have wanted to be celebrated. And as the years go on, and more people take up the flame that Mikey passed on, and I look around here and I see lots of people who knew him in real life, but also many of the people here didn't know Mikey. And I think it's really important to talk about who he was as a person, not just as a Zionist, but just a great friend and a great brother and a great brother to his friends. Mikey had a very big quality in which he would gather lots of girls and treat them like his sisters. I think he was trying to fill the place of his sisters in America. And everyone has these stories of Mikey breaking out of the army to make sure to get to a wedding of one of his friends because he wanted to be there. And I remember once, we were on Kibbutz Yavne for Shabbat, and one of his friends, who I hadn't met at the time, caught him up crying because her boyfriend had dumped her. And we tramped from Kibbutz Yavne to Rechavia and showed up at this girl's apartment and knocked on the door. She's not expecting us in any way, shape, or form. And Mikey walks in and says, if this guy can't realize how amazing you are, he's an idiot. And why would you want to be with an idiot? And just the thing I think that Mikey, really taught all of us, and a large part of the reason why he had such a profound impact on the world is at the base, Mikey was a great friend and a brother to everyone. Every year that I come here for Unity for Room and for his yard site, I bring alcohol. We have l'chaim. Harriet's here, she joins in. And something I've been thinking in the past few years is how, in the first few years, we were in our early 20s, and I would bring a bottle of Iraq or a cheap bottle of vodka. As the years go on, I always make sure actually to take a bottle that is already opened and that I have drunk with friends or at an event, to sort of spread the love and to bring it here and bring a bottle that isn't just, for memorializing Mikey, but is for, bringing good feelings and love and friendship into the world. And as the years go on, I've started to notice that our tastes have gotten older and older, and it's, on some weird level, looking back on, would Mikey have drunk this? We get to grow older, and Mikey stays 22. I just look around here and I see all the people that have been touched by him, and it's amazing. And I hope that everyone here takes from Mikey, takes from Mikey the lessons that they should let the people in their lives know how much they need and how much they're worth.
It's one thing is that I never spoken before. It's just I'm not gonna say this because the person's not here. But to just echoes. Just echoes perfectly like something happened last year, and it echoes like perfectly everything everybody's talking about. Like the fact that it's 17 years later, and people didn't actually know him.
That's
And just like the spheres of influence and the waves of influence. Just a little true story, just from last year. Last year, a few of us were here at Yom HaZikaron in the late afternoon, and somebody, her name is Noah. I'm only saying this because she's across the street in a doctor's appointment that's being extended. She really wanted to be. Somebody comes up and says, and Harry and Michael, you know the story, you already connected with her, but just for other people, it's just pretty, to me, it's so telling and so telling, so appropriate, and so not surprising. But on the other hand, like 16 years later, man, like it's somebody comes up and says and sees us, oh, did you know Michael? And she's like kind of hesitant. Long story short, I said, I see you have a story. She starts telling, what's your deal? She starts telling a story. She worked as the Bitachon El Al in New York. She was El Al security in New York, on the flight that Mikey went back on to come back to Israel. I'm like, no way you remember him from like it's 16 years. Like, oh no. So no. What happened was that they do remember. They did remember, and at the time basically he made such an impression on them. Just he was like, and from a really objective view of like of his mindset, really just in days before, in the hours before everything.
You're good.
And on the hours there, like he was so happy to be doing what he was doing, happy to be going back, and it was shining from his face. He was really happy to and so into it, and that they could sense it, and they actually kind of not detained him, but they mini retained him, like just to speak. Just they even called the Rosh Tzevet to speak with him for 10 minutes to do a tishul, do like basically a small little just for the sake of talking with him, because it was fascinating. They were like so struck by him. And they spoke with him for 10 minutes, and they just did it to show him, and let him go, obviously, because he's Chayal, and there's really nothing to be talking to him about security-wise, right? But like, talked to him for 10 minutes, however long it was, and he made such an impression, and they were still talking about it at the Sikum at the end of the shift, and they were just about what he was doing and the impression that he left on him, and that was that's the Zion. It's probably Hayop. And 2 days later, obviously they're reading about the wars. They're in New York, and they get Yediot Achronot, and they see and they see on the front page of Yediot, and I think it was also I remember in the Times, and they see on Yediot like the person that they were like, you gotta be kidding me, the person they just spoke with for like 10-15 minutes is is reporting of falling in Michael Levin. And like that's just, I mean, and that's just one part of the story. The story is why 16 years later, because she like it's basically she was 16 years, and just as things would turn out, her, and this is about the waves of influence. Her niece happened to be visited Har Herzl, and one of the graves that she went to was Mikey's kever, like 2 days, a week before Yom HaZikaron, or 2 days before Yom HaZikaron. And she came, she asked her, where'd you go to Eretz? So she told him, went to Michael, amongst other people, and this guy, Michael, it's like, okay, enough, like, I can't, I have to see what really goes, and she came up, and that was the whole connection now, so that's 16 years later. So like, if you think that you don't have an impact on people, I get whatever lesson it is, that like the impacts and the waves of influence you have on people, that even if it takes more than a decade and a half to even, you're still having impact of just being a good person, being and just being there, being present, and being and the light that you give off, it matters. And I mean, that's as real I think example stories as you have. The only reason I'm saying that it's embarrassing. But it's, for me, it was very like, after all the coming in a year, it's okay. But like that's like 6 years later, it's really, 17 years later, even this year, it's really still impacting me as both.
יש עוד מישהו שרוצה לדבר?
David Silverstein. David Silverstein. No? Okay.
לא רוצה?
Yes.
למה? אתה לא רוצה להגיד משהו?
Rebecca
בוא תגיד
speaking.
משהו.
Let's,
I heard Rebecca saying David Silverstein.
oh,
Here's
it
David.
is David.
Yeah,
year come together for Michael Levin Kara, and it's an incredible experience to be here. And you would think statistically that over the years the numbers of people who would come would get smaller, but every year you come and you see a lot of familiar faces, and you see a lot of people we haven't seen before, and it captures something about Michael's influence, which transcends him as an individual and speaks to something that he represented, which was much larger. There's a teaching that's said in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, that one of the blessings that we say before we read the Torah, we say, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. The teaching of Rabbi Yehuda says that the order of that blessing is not coincidental. First, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. The first comes nationhood, peoplehood. And only when you have that can you have the second dimension of the prayer, Natan lanu et Torato, that we can receive the Torah, we can receive something, but first and foremost, we have to be a nation. And I think for me, somebody who grew up with Michael and knew Michael since he was 1 year old, as Ezra pointed out before, is that Michael really symbolizes this idea that fundamentally we are a nation, that all different types of Jews, irrespective of where they are on the religious spectrum, on the political spectrum, come together and see a part of them in Michael's story. And therefore, it's not coincidental that this kever may be the most significant in terms of tourist groups and groups from all across the world coming to visit it year after year. Because we're all tapping into this theme that Michael represented. Asher bachar banu mikol amim. Something about all of us that's bound together with a sense of peoplehood and nationhood. And Michael is our connection to that shared story. Therefore, it's not surprising that, as opposed to, unfortunately, other circumstances where people tend to move on as years pass, here the numbers every year continue to be significant and continue sometimes to even grow, because the story of Michael is a story of Am Yisrael. The Am Levadad Yishkon, as my father pointed out, Michael is a lone soldier, the lone soldier representing the Am Levadad Yishkon. Therefore, we all come together today thinking about Michael, living on his legacy of Achdut, of Shalom, of commitment, of Zionism, and seeing all the gifts that Michael had as continuing on through his friends, and through his family, through the messages that he provides to all of Am Yisrael. Yehi zichro baruch.
תפילתנו מלא רחמים. מלא רחמים, סוחר במונים, המצר ופניך על כנפי שכיבך במעלות קדושים טובים וגיבורים גזרה רקיענים ומזים לנשמת החיות ישראל סמל ראשון מלך מייקל בן דלר מייקל למשפחת לוי שמסר נפשו על קדושת השם ונפל מות גיבורים בהגנתם בארץ. בעבור של מתפללים לעילוי נשמתו בגן עדן לכם בעל הרחמים יסתירו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים.
Does he have that picture? You can give it to me.
ויצרוך
copy of it and give it
ויצרוך
to me.
חיים את נשמתו אדוני הוא נחלתו וינוע בשלום על משכבו ויעמוד בגורלו לקץ הימים ונאמר
Because they used to do it in this night table before it got powered.
Shelaman Esarega Me'ayin yavo Ezri me'imanu Ose shamayim Ayitek lamod raglecha Yanu shomrecha Hine lo yanu Shomer
If one of these are her boyfriend.
Adonai shomer
I would think he'd be next.
Vayadine Yom HaMashiach
Lost it.
I don't know why they just, I think it's the singing.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeh zichro shel Melech Michael Levin Baruch. May the memory of Mikey Levin be with us forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
Man,
Harriet, do you want to say something? I just don't think people will be able to hear you. Want to try? It didn't really work so well.
We love you.
I love you right back. Thank you, everybody, for being there, for remembering Michael all year. Ezra, your beautiful words, and David, of course,
Thank everyone for their beautiful
Donnie, Diane, thank you so much. And Shayna, I think we owe you a case of liquor. We love you all.
Disconnected. Try again, say now.
You hear me now?
No, no,
No,
No.
no.
I heard that though.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, everyone can hear you.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being there, for your love, your support, for keeping Michael's memory alive and his dreams alive. Ezra, Donnie, David, thank you so much for speaking so beautifully. Shayna, I think we owe you a case of liquor by now. We had ours last night. We love you all and thank you for continuing to be a part of our lives.
we consider you an extended family. We're sitting here in Michael's bedroom, surrounded by 22 years of memories from his early elementary school right through his service in the IDF. His ammunition vest is here that he wore in Lebanon. I'm sitting next to his boots, and all those memories come flooding back to us as we stand here in commemoration with you. You're 7 hours ahead of us, and last night we were joined by friends and family at the beginning of the evening, and spent some time with our loved ones talking about Michael. And here we are again, just 12 hours later, with you. It's wonderful to know that after all this time, after 17 years, that not only has Michael not been forgotten, but the things that he lived for, the things that were important to him, his life, his love of friends in Zion and Israel and the army, are all very, very much alive and continue to live in the hearts and the minds of so many people around the country and around the world. And most important, in addition to that legacy, what has been done for lone soldiers in this country is hard to believe. We owe a tremendous debt to hundreds of people who work in the organizations that have been started in his name, who volunteer, who sit on the board of directors, and are employed at these organizations. And there's been so much that has been done in his name, and he would be very, very proud that he was able to some way contribute to make the lives of lone soldiers better in Israel. So we thank you all very much for being there today, for taking time out of your busy schedules, and for standing in solidarity with us, with Michael, and with everything that he stood for. We love you, and we thank you all.
Can't wait to see you in the spring and hug you in person.
Amen.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Wait. You wanna, Sarah?